My 3 p.m. rituals that keep me happy, peaceful, and grounded. Asterisk, somewhere between lunch and dinner, there's this hour, 3 p.m., where the whole world seems to dip. The light changes. The energy softens. And for most of my life, I ignored it. I powered through like we're taught to. More coffee, more emails, more effort. Keep going, keep moving, keep proving. But I noticed something over time. Every day around that hour, I'd hit this quiet wall. Not a dramatic crash, not a breakdown, just a weight, a fog. I'd start feeling scattered, even if the morning had gone well. I'd open the fridge, not really hungry, just searching. I'd check my phone, scroll aimlessly. I'd move through. The rest of the day, a little less alive, a little more detached. For a while, I thought it was just low energy, normal, nothing to fix. But deep down, I knew it was something else. It wasn't just about being tired, it was about being unrooted, disconnected. I was drifting from myself, even in the middle of my own day. And then one day, I didn't push through. I paused. That pause became a pattern. That pattern became a practice. And before I knew it, I had built something sacred into my life, a 3 p.m. ritual. Not because someone told me to, not because I read it in a book, but because my body, my mind, my soul, they were all asking for it. Now, I protect that hour like it's a part of me. It doesn't have to be long or elaborate. It doesn't even look the same every day. But it's mine. And it's become the most important part of how I care for myself. Because 3 p.m. isn't just a time on the clock, it's a doorway. A quiet invitation. A soft reminder that I can choose peace even in the middle of the noise. That I can return to myself even when the world is still moving. That I can stop chasing and start creating the life I want to feel. This ritual didn't change everything overnight, but it changed how I moved through everything. It helped me stop rushing through my own day. It helped me build rhythm, stillness, safety. It helped me come home to myself, one ordinary afternoon at a time. And if your days have been feeling loud, chaotic, or just a little too empty lately, maybe what you need isn't more doing. Maybe what you need is a ritual, a pause, a promise to yourself, right in the middle of your life, that you matter. That's what 3 p.m. gave me. And I want to tell you how. The first shift began with a question I hadn't asked myself in years. How does my body feel right now? That sounds simple. But for most of my life, I didn't live in my body. I lived in my schedule. I lived in my thoughts. I lived in the idea that productivity was more important than presence. So when I first paused at 3 p.m. and just noticed, it felt awkward. Foreign, even. My shoulders were tight, my jaw clenched, my breath shallow. My body was talking, I just hadn't been listening. So I started there, with stillness. Not a full meditation, not a long yoga session. Just a few minutes to sit, to close my eyes and to breathe with intention. No music, no goal, just quiet. Just me, returning. Some days I stretch. Not to burn calories, not to hit a fitness goal, just to feel where I'm holding. My back, my hands, my neck. These places carry stories, tension, emotion, worry. I move not to fix them, but to greet them. Other days I walk, slowly, around the house or outside if the weather is kind. I notice how my feet meet the ground. I feel the air on my skin. I let my breath settle into rhythm with the world around me. No phone, no destination, just presence. And sometimes I lie flat on the floor, eyes closed, and let gravity do the work. I let the earth hold me. I breathe into the places that ache. I exhale the noise that doesn't belong. I let myself be a body, not a machine. Small ritual, this return to the body, became the first sacred act of my 3 p.m. hour. Not because it was dramatic, but because it reminded me that my body isn't something to rush past. It's home. And every day, at 3 p.m., I get to come home to it again. After I returned to my body, something softened inside me. And into that softness, I began to pour something sweet. A ritual for the soul. It started with tea. Not the kind you sip while checking emails, not a distraction. A ritual, boiling the water, choosing the mug, watching the steam rise, holding it with both hands. It became more than a drink. It became a signal. You are allowed to slow down now. I found a corner in the house that caught the afternoon light. A window that looked out over the garden. A chair that creaked a little when I settled in. I didn't decorate it. I didn't make it perfect. I just claimed it. It was mine, a place to rest, a place to breathe. And in that place I read. Sometimes just one page, sometimes a poem. Sometimes I didn't read at all. I just sat with the tea, the warmth, the silence. I began to crave that time. Not for what it gave me, but for what it took away. The rush, the pressure, the static of the world. Some afternoons I journal. I don't make it deep. I don't try to impress the page. I just write what I see, what I feel, what I remember. A bird at the window. A kind word from someone earlier. A quote I want to carry. It grounds me. Other days, I just sit and let sunlight touch my face. That's the magic of this ritual. It doesn't do much, and that's the point. It nourishes. Not by adding more to the day, but by creating space. A soft pause. A moment that belongs to nothing and no one but me. We live in a world that worships efficiency. But at 3 p.m., in my quiet little corner, I don't have to be efficient. I get to be whole. I get to sip. I get to breathe. I get to remember that peace isn't something I find. It's something I make room for. And I make that room one quiet cup, one still moment, one sunlit page at a time. After the body calms, after the soul is held, there's this sacred space that opens up, and it whispers, "Are you listening?" That's when the third part of my 3 p.m. ritual begins. Checking in with my heart. This isn't a formal practice. There's no right way to do it. Sometimes I speak out loud. Sometimes I write. Sometimes I just sit with my hand on my chest and ask, gently, "What do you need today?" It sounds soft. But the answers are often fierce. I need to forgive myself. I need to let go of what she said. I need to remember that I am safe, even when things feel uncertain. I need to hear that I'm allowed to rest, to laugh, to feel joy again. This practice, this inner listening, has become one of the most healing parts of my day. Because we're taught to listen to everyone else. Their needs, their demands, their opinions. But no one teaches us how to listen inward, to honor our own voice, to let our heart be the compass, not the afterthought. Some days I write down affirmations, not generic ones, personal ones. I am worthy even when I'm not productive. I am allowed to take up space. I am not behind. I am becoming. Other days I speak a prayer, or I just cry. Not from pain, necessarily, but from relief, from letting something out, from no longer carrying it in silence. And occasionally, I don't say anything. I just sit with the presence of my own self. I let the stillness hold me like a friend. This ritual doesn't take long, but its impact echoes through the rest of the day. It reminds me that my inner world matters, not just what I do, but what I feel. It reminds me that there's a wisdom inside me I can trust, that I don't have to wait for someone else to affirm me. I can affirm myself. And the more I practice this, the more honest I become, the more kind, the more attuned, not just to my own needs, but to the world around me. Because when you listen to your heart, truly, gently, with reverence, you start to walk through the world differently, softer, braver, freer. That's what my 3 p.m. ritual gives me. A mirror, a microphone, a moment to come back, again and again, to the only voice that truly knows the way forward, my own. There are days, of course there are, when 3 p.m. doesn't feel like mine. The phone rings, a visitor stops by. Life knocks, loud and insistent, reminding me that the world is always hungry for attention. Sometimes it's tempting to surrender to that noise, to skip the pause, to tell myself I'll do it tomorrow. But I've learned something powerful. The more chaotic the world becomes, the more sacred that one quiet hour is. Because peace doesn't happen by accident. Not anymore. Not in this fast, distracted, always-on world. Peace is something you make. And the moment you stop choosing it, it disappears. That's why I protect my 3 p.m. ritual. Not with guilt, not with perfection, but with intention. It is a boundary I set not to shut the world out, but to keep myself in, to keep myself present, kind, whole. I started small. I silenced notifications. I blocked the time in my calendar, even when no one else saw it. I told the people around me, kindly, that this was something I needed. Not because I'm fragile, but because I'm human. And the more I honored that time, the more others began to honor it too. My family learned that this hour isn't about being unavailable. It's about being more available afterward, in the ways that truly matter. My friends knew they could still call, but maybe at 3:45 instead of 3. And most importantly, I started believing that my own needs were just as important as everyone else's. We live in a culture that celebrates the hustle, the urgency, the constant availability. But my greatest strength now isn't how fast I move, it's how deeply I pause. That pause has become my practice, my protection, my quiet rebellion, because this isn't just a break. It's a ritual. It's an anchor. It keeps me steady when the day wants to pull me in 100 directions. It grounds me in softness when the world feels sharp. It reminds me that I don't have to earn rest, or justify silence, or apologize for needing time to reconnect with myself. I don't protect the hour because I have to. I protect it because I want to. Because I know what I'm like without it, rushed, reactive, restless. And I know what I become with it, calm, kind, clear. That's the version of me I want to bring to the rest of the day. And that version is only born when I protect the pause. There was a time when I thought peace was something that just happened, something you found if you were lucky enough to have the right job, the right people, the right kind of day. But now I know better. Peace is not a product of circumstance. It's the result of choice. And for me, that choice happens at 3 p.m. It's not always perfect. Some days are messier than others. Some rituals feel deeper, others more distracted. But I return to them anyway. Because peace isn't found in the performance. It's found in the returning. That 1 hour, that ordinary, often overlooked moment in the middle of the day has become a lighthouse. A compass, a prayer. It reminds me who I am. It reminds me how I want to feel. It reminds me that no matter how noisy life gets, I can still create quiet inside it. I don't chase peace anymore. I don't wait for the weekend. I don't save self-care for vacations or once-a-year retreats. I create it. Every single day, with breath, with tea, with sunlight and silence, and a soft return to my own voice. You don't need a big budget. You don't need fancy tools. You don't even need a full hour. You just need a willingness to pause. To say, this moment matters. I matter. My well-being is worth protecting. So maybe for you, it won't be 3 p.m. Maybe it's 7 in the morning. Maybe it's 9 at night. But wherever you find it, protect it. Honor it. Let it become your anchor. Because you don't need to keep chasing the life you want to feel. You can create it, right in the middle of your day. Right in the quiet. Right in that one sacred hour I did. And I'll never go back.